George Orwell provided a warning to the world proclaiming what would happen to personal freedom if we did not protect our right to personal thoughts. His depiction of a total totalitarian government is greatly evident in Iraq's government in the 1990s. Iranian President Saddam Hussein was labeled as a total totalitarian leader. He used a secret police force called the Iraqi Secret Intelligence, or better known as the Party Intelligence. He used this police force for state-sponsored massacres on civilian populations who rebelled or disagreed with his ideas. The infamous mass murder of Dujail killed 148 Shiites after they attempted to assassinate Hussein with the support of a militia. Hussein targeted the ethnic and religious groups of Shiites and Kurds to inflict fear into the populations. Furthermore, there is an ongoing conflict between the different ethnic groups, and he favors Sunnis since he was born one. In order to instill his power, he weakened the press and entertainment and only entrusted one news network, the Iraqi News Agency. The government restricted severely freedoms of speech, the press, assembly, association, religion, and movement. Hussein's grave efforts to diminish personal freedom is the modern-day Airstrip 1. He has similar regulations to ensure his power, such as the party did with the use of the thought police, the Ministry of Love, and the fear implemented into their citizens if they were to act unorthodox.
We can see an association between the society in George Orwell's novel 1984 and the Chinese culture represented in Mulan. Mulan is a movie produced by Disney in 1998. It is a story about a girl who refused to follow the female stereotype in the Chinese culture and took her father's place in the army. In the movie, women are depicted in a way that they should not have a voice, and everyone has to accept that. The society brainwashes its citizens with any ideas they want. Same in the novel. The government also brainwashes the people with the idea of the big brother and not accepting any different thoughts or beliefs.
Many novels portray the harsh totalitarian government. In the book Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, it portrays that in the future, the world controllers have created the ideal society. To achieve the ideal society, the world controllers used brainwashing, genetic engineering, torture, and classical conditioning. With these government tactics, it creates a fear in which the people will be too scared to rebel and act out. Another book, The Trial, tells the story of a man named Joseph K., who was unexpectedly arrested by two agents from an unspecified agency for an undetermined crime. In both of these novels, the use of torture and brainwashing is used, which creates a constant fear like the government depicted in Orwell's 1984.
There is a clear connection between the government in George Orwell's novel 1984 and the government of North Korea during the 90s in terms of propaganda. Both governments used propaganda as a strategy to influence the people by showing images and films in public. For example, in this image, propaganda is conveyed by viewing that North Korea has a stable food supply, although the country is suffering from famine. This draws a clear connection between North Korea and the novel 1984. The party uses Big Brother's slogan as their major propaganda: war is peace, slavery is freedom, ignorance is strength. The party uses this slogan to brainwash the public about obeying the government's outrageous rules and styles of life.
Rage Against the Machine is inevitably a form of revolt against the whole government in 1984 and how the government is essentially in full control. The band's name exemplifies how they wish to go against the machine, which is an example for the government. In 1984, Winston has the same mindset as the band and wishes to go against the machine, which is the control of the government. Winston repeats the phrase saying, "Down with Big Brother," and this is when the audience saw the first official signs of rebellion from him. Unlike the song, Winston eventually gives in and conforms to the government, and his rebellion is crushed. The song Testify by Rage Against the Machine begins with multiple government leaders saying how they support the death penalty, among other things that are harming our nation as a whole. Therefore, as the song continues, the artist's portrayal of the government is seen in a negative way, just as in 1984.
The government in 1984 used its power to scare the people into listening to them. They used telescreens to keep an eye on the public, or at least to make the people feel like they are constantly watched, in order to make them too scared to do anything the government wouldn't like. This same theme appears in the 1990s and is referenced in a Simpsons episode that aired in 1996. In the episode, President George Bush moves in across the street from the Simpsons and quickly becomes enemies of the Simpsons family and friends with the conservative Flanders family. When Bart accidentally destroys George's memoirs, he tries to make Bart scared. It also shows how power is necessary to create fear, because despite his many attempts, George isn't president anymore and is bested by the Simpsons family when they revolt. The government in 1984 is much more powerful and is successful in using fear to control the people.